Hey, if you own a restaurant, a bar, a salon, or spa, you're gonna wanna listen to this. What if I told you there's a huge government incentive you've probably been paying for, but have never ever claimed? Today, we're gonna break down the FICA Tip Credit, a dollar for dollar tax credit that could literally put thousands of dollars back into your business. So, what kind of money are we really talking about here? Well, it's not just a little bit of cash, it is a massive number. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, every single year, business owners just like you are leaving more than $11 billion on the table in unclaimed FICA tip credits. And this isn't some new fly-by-night program. For some of you, it's been around since the 90s. It's just been completely overlooked. And that's the real question, isn't it? When you're talking about a number that big, it's almost certain that a piece of that $11 billion actually belongs to you. It's money you've already earned. It's from taxes you've already paid. Okay, let's dive into the heart of this. This is not some sketchy loophole or a complicated tax scheme. It's a very straightforward tax credit that was literally designed to reward business owners for reporting employee tips properly. The only problem? Almost nobody's actually claiming it. Now, just look at this chart for a second. The scale of this oversight is kind of mind-blowing. Estimates show that a whopping 80 to 90% of small businesses that qualify for this credit just never claim it. You see that giant unclaimed slice? That represents billions of dollars that business owners are just letting slip through their fingers. And listen, we are not talking about pocket change here. For that tiny little slice of businesses that do file for this, the median refund is over $100,000. Just take a second and think about that. What could you do with an extra $100,000 in your business right now? New equipment, marketing, maybe just a little breathing room. But, and this is a big but, there's a catch. There's a ticking clock. The IRS only lets you look back 3 years to amend your old tax returns and get these credits. So every single year that passes by, a full year's worth of your money is just lost. Poof, gone forever. That window to claim it is always closing. So you're probably asking, okay, am I one of these businesses that's missing out? Let's figure that out right now. We're going to break down exactly who qualifies, and you'll definitely want to stick around for a really exciting brand new development. For decades, this credit has been the territory of the food and beverage industry. So if you run a full-service restaurant, a bar, a hotel with food service, or even a catering company, basically anywhere tipping is a normal part of doing business, you've been eligible this whole time. And this is the game changer I was talking about. This is huge. Thanks to some new legislation, this credit is expanding. Starting after December 31st, 2024, businesses in the beauty and personal care world are now eligible. We're talking hair salons, nail salons, spas, makeup artists. If you're in this industry and your employees get tips, this is a brand new stream of cash that's on the table for you. Of course, there are a few basic requirements for your team. This credit is for your W-2 employees, right? Not for independent contractors. They need to be reporting their tips, and their total pay has to be above the federal minimum wage. Really, it's designed for businesses that are already doing everything by the book. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this thing actually works. It's so important to understand what this credit is, and maybe even more important, what it isn't. Because a lot of people think this is just some kind of payroll refund. It's not. It's actually much, much better. Okay, so here's the deal in simple terms. The FICA Tip Credit is a dollar-for-dollar reduction of your income tax. As the employer, you pay a 7.65% FICA tax on all those reported tips. This credit lets you claim back that 7.65% for tips earned above a certain wage, and it directly lowers the final check you have to write to the IRS. And this little chart right here perfectly illustrates why that distinction is so crucial. A payroll refund just moves money around, but an income tax credit, that directly slashes your overall tax liability. It's claimed right on your annual business tax return, Form 8846 if you're curious, and it has a huge impact on your bottom line. So how is it all calculated? It's way simpler than it sounds. It applies to the FICA taxes you paid on tips your employees earned above a certain hourly wage. For the food and beverage industry, that magic number is $5.15 an hour. For all the new folks in the beauty and personal care industry, it's set at the federal minimum wage, so $7.25 an hour. So if this is so valuable, you have to be asking, why in the world hasn't my accountant or my payroll company ever mentioned this to me? And that, my friends, is the multi-billion-dollar question. The answer lies in what I like to call the specialist gap. Think about your payroll company. They're great at their job, right? They track all the tips, they run the payroll. But here's the thing. For them, calculating and filing for a niche credit like this is a liability they don't want to touch. It's outside their scope. So they'll track the data for you, but they put the responsibility of actually applying for the credit right back on you, the owner. So what about your tax preparer? Well, think about how insanely busy they are, especially during tax season. They're focused on getting your standard returns filed correctly and on time. This credit just isn't standard. It requires digging into old payroll reports, doing very specific calculations. It's a specialty that most general tax pros just don't have the time or the niche training to handle. And this is where that specialist gap becomes crystal clear. Your team plays their part, but this specific task just falls through the cracks. A recovery specialist's entire job is to fill that gap. They don't just file it. They find it, they calculate it, they document it, they amend your past returns, and they will even defend the claim if the IRS has any questions. But here's the good news. Claiming the money that you're owed does not have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to be risky. There's a really simple, direct path to get your cash back. The whole recovery process is designed to be incredibly easy for you. It's really just 4 steps. You start with a super simple application to get the ball rolling. Then, a specialist team takes over and processes the whole claim, dealing with all that complex IRS paperwork. They track its approval, and then you get your money, often in just a matter of weeks, not months. And what makes this a complete no-brainer is that it's totally risk-free. It costs you absolutely nothing to find out if you're eligible. The fees are 100% contingency-based, which just means if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Simple as that. And maybe best of all, full IRS audit defense is included, so you have total peace of mind. Okay, one of the biggest questions that always comes up is this. What if my business wasn't profitable every single year? You know, running a business has its ups and downs. Maybe you had a tough year. Does that mean you can't benefit from this? The answer is a very clear no. Profitability is not a requirement at all. See, this credit is what's known as a general business credit, and any part of it you can't use right away doesn't just disappear. It can be carried forward for up to 20 years to offset taxes in future, more profitable years. So even if you can't use it all today, it's a valuable asset for your business's future. So let's just end with this thought. You've done the hard work. You've played by the rules. You've paid your taxes on every single tip your team reported. You held up your end of the bargain. So isn't it about time you claim the credit you are rightfully owed and got that money back working for you?